Could I ask a few questions, if I may, on the bonus payment issue? You said in your opening remarks, Stephen, that FMBG is required to comply with the Scottish Public Finance Manual requirements. Do you think the process of awarding these bonuses to the senior management team without any reference to performance indicators complies with the requirements of the manual?
I think I maybe need to be absolutely clear in this, Mr Coffey, that Ferguson Marine Port Glasgow, as a non-departmental public body, is required to comply with the Scottish Public Finance Manual. However, the Scottish Government public sector pay policy arrangements don't apply utterly prescriptively to FMPG, but there is then, unfortunately, I'm going to drift into perhaps ambiguous terms, but it has to have words like have reference to and parallels and understanding to pay policy. But the framework document doesn't provide sufficient clarity around that. That's now come from Scottish Government following the publication of the audit report. On the payment of the bonuses, I said in my opening remarks that we consider unacceptable that £87,000 of public money was paid in bonuses, not in an ideological perspective, but that the payments were made without clear KPI framework that was designed to support the payment of bonuses. Bonuses are relatively unusual in a public sector context. They do happen in a small number of other public bodies, but where they are made, there needs to be clear KPI, clear governance arrangements, and we draw attention to today's report that those factors weren't in existence when these amounts were paid.
Do you think that that money is ultimately recoverable? I need to ask that. I'm sure the public is asking that. It beggars belief that a bonus could be applied to this, given that the boats are 5 years late. So what constitutes a bonus criteria in any of that to justify the senior managers taking that award?
I don't know if those amounts are recoverable. That would have to be a judgment made by others in terms of the specifics of the terms and conditions that existed for those senior managers and what their contracts said. We draw attention to these amounts, Mr Coffey, because primarily, of course, that the amounts were paid without effective governance by the Remuneration Committee being discharged before the amounts were paid, that it was clear what performance measures had been met, that there was adequately scrutinised before payments were made. But also, I think it's a matter of public interest that bonuses were paid to senior managers at the yards, balanced against the challenges that have been widely reported by this committee and elsewhere on the costs and timescales for the delivery of the two vessels.